the experts. And I'm not saying not to bring in the experts. I think they're great. But which ones do I do? Maybe it's a business coach I need or an accountant. I pull in a marketing agency. They can help me. You need the industry insider. This is what's going to help. Oh, doesn't it just keep going? And this is what it feels like. Okay? When we're trying to grow, it feels like this. The problems didn't go away. The ideas just got more. The connections got more. Sometimes the payouts, other people got more and more and more. And yet it's all sitting on top of me. And a lot of it has to do with that map still. Understanding where you are right now can help you focus in and know, no, it's this book right now, and it's this professional. Or better yet, it's this team member and how you need to build it, or this system. Because you're unique at the stage, your business is at a new place, that's unique. But where you're at looks exactly like almost everyone else at that same stage. Your problems are very similar across multiple industries. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of businesses and found them to be very simple. It's very succinct, simple. You're like, oh, that's the same problem. So here's our conversation today, and this will be the same. Just as you're looking at it, our agreement, you'll be present today. Just be in it. I know you may have other work to do, but just this time, be present so we can hear and find what you need. We're going to teach you the keys to growth. You're going to implement whatever makes sense for you. We can't convince you of anything or force anything to happen to you, but implement what does work. I will make an offer to make it easier and faster along the journey. I'll make that offer out there, but I have no voodoo powers to make you buy anything. You'll decide what's best for you if you move forward. This will not be a sales pitch today, but at the end, I will have a way for you to engage with me. What I care most about is that you engage with the ideas and you find the one thing that will help you move forward in the next 2 months. Just do the one thing. Just do the one thing, okay? And then you can pick a next thing. All right, so stages of small business. People define small business differently. I'm going to sit in this arena, and everyone in this room happened to fit when we went through our little numbers. So, solopreneur, new employer, steady operation, 7-figure business, and a growth company. You'll notice there's a pattern, these 1s and 3s of business, as you move up from one stage to the next, these transitions, right? You're making very little. You go to 1 to 300,000, which was a good chunk of us in the room. There's a shift to be made. And you'll notice down below the biggest hurdle. Early on, getting enough leads. Next, learning how to be a good salesperson. Don't think you can just outsource that as a small business. You have got to learn how to sell your stuff. Put the time in, dedicate. No one can do it quite like you yet, but don't hold on to that. You're going to need to then really master the marketing services. If you're hitting in the $500,000 range and you haven't started to get marketing more dialed in, you're going to start suffering because your leads aren't going to flow in the way you need them to. Okay? You're going to need to get that in. Really what you're doing in this 300 to 1 million is truly honing in on your product market fit. Okay? So that's a key in there. Then as we leap to the next one, to make that transition, we have to stop being just the best salesperson. We have to start building someone else. We have to stop being the one who's solving the customer need, and we have to start building other people. We have to stop being the one who is solving problems. That's hard. Because up to this point, we've been superhuman, and it was kind of cool to feel like I could solve the problem. Now there's too many problems, and you're the bottleneck for all decisions. Then you get to this next level, and you have to let go of almost all of your in-depth technical knowledge. You'll still have it, but yours won't be used. You'll be building other leaders and systems to ensure the culture is thriving and strong so it can grow without you. Otherwise, you are stuck in the middle. So let's play with them little by little. Marshall Goldsmith has this little saying. He's got a book about it. What got you here won't get you there. That's because the reason you raised your hand on some of those problems was because you succeeded so well at the stage right before you. You did a great job. Now you're into this next phase, and you just haven't jumped that hurdle yet, so you're feeling it. The old formula of success has changed. That's the only reason you're feeling it now is it worked. And you can't keep doggedly doing the old thing. It's time to start learning, a new formula for success at this stage, and then it's going to change, and you have to just keep changing. They build on each other, but they do change. This is how I like to think about it. When you're riding a bicycle, you have a set amount of energy you can put in. And you're running your business, You're going, like, okay, I've maxed out that gear. We've got the bikes right here to make this easy for me. That's perfect. Most of these don't have a gear. Look at those. None of them do. That's the solopreneur right there, and it isn't going anywhere else. Without the ability to shift gears, you have to somehow come up with new energy that never existed before. And that isn't realistic. You max out in your energy. Shift the gears. The same energy will give you, in a car, 3 times the output. In a bike, I don't really know the gear ratios, but more, right? You get more every time you shift gears. And that's the beauty of it. You get more every time you shift gears out of the same energy. That's the key to growth. It's not just working longer and harder. I was working with one business owner, and this was several years ago, and we were talking, and I was like, you seem kind of frazzled. How's the balance in life going for you? I don't think you're taking care of some basics. You're burning the candle in 3 places, is what it felt like. Both ends and in the middle, right? Like you lit it all over the place. And he said, well, it's not too bad. I said, oh yeah? How are your Sundays? He said, I think Sunday I mostly have off. Like I put in some hours in the morning, some hours in the evening. I was like, how much? He said, about 8. And his other days were the busy days. He was a $1.5 million business owner. No, he wasn't. He was a $1.5 million job owner. He owned a very big job. That was painful. He did learn to shift gears. He did learn to change. It took about 3 years. He began to get benefits right away. By the end of 3 years, and he hadn't taken a vacation forever. And so I actually got his wife on the call. We met together, and I said, so do you actually want to go on these quarterly retreats the two of you have planned for years and never done? She said, yes, I do. I said, all right, so we'll put him on the calendar. And he began to build his business around what's going to break when I'm not there, and build a process to fix that ahead of time, and hire a person to fix that ahead of time. Then he would get back from vacation. What broke? What broke while you were gone that you didn't expect? And how did the thing you fixed work? That piece that you did prevention on. And we would do this over and over again. By the end of 3 years, he was doing 12 weeks of vacation, total blackout, no phone, no computer. Business was running on its own, and he sold his business for 15x revenue. That was a huge change. He could never sell it before. He was the only person doing all the work. He had all the people around him, but he was doing everything, right? It changed because he learned to shift gears. It made a difference. Here's your stage here. Let's not do anything here. We just suffer here, right? We figure out a way to make this our full-time job instead of a side hustle. No one was in that. Let's play in this phase. In this phase, in this 100, 300,000, we begin to figure out, we have division of labor going on. We're learning to work with others. We're just selling and fulfilling. That's what it feels like day in and day out. Perfect. This is the stuff we need to work on. Stage 2, I don't want just your sales skills to be good. I want you to think, do I have a process that I can predictably generate sales? Okay, you've got to get good at that. So not because I'm a natural, but because I follow a process. So think about that when you hit this spot. Can I close enough deals? Instead of just getting lucky when Uncle Harry feels bad for me and decides to buy from me, I'm actually able to close deals with people I didn't know before. That's a key at this stage. Also, clear roles and responsibilities need to start happening because you're hiring. You're going to have 1 to 3 employees during this time. You're starting to actually hire and get a little bit of help along the way. So getting clear is a key piece. If you don't get clear, they're just helpers waiting for you to tell them what to do. And that slows you down. I've seen it a bunch of times. I've seen people get to like 8, 9 team members, and they're all helpers, working at about 40% capacity because you have a bottleneck of a decision maker always there, holding everything back, not realizing it. So think clear roles and responsibilities is a key to shift here. And then again, you're doing the work that's in like the E-Myth, right? Michael Gerber talks about taking the hats off. Here's your organization chart. You fill all these roles. Start using the profits you have to hire someone to fill this. And the roles you start handing off are the ones that you're making $10, $20 an hour on your work and time. Start handing those off So you could spend time on the $100, $200 an hour work or $1,000, $2,000 an hour work. Okay, so just think those are the first hats to hand off. Use the profits to generate more high value add work, okay, that you'll be doing. So you can hand that off. Those are some key ones at this stage. But let's talk about it just a little bit. A lot of you are in that 0 to 300,000. What are your main challenges you're facing right now? What are you feeling? This is the moment. Yeah, it's all finding and fitting, right? What business are you turning away? You've got a couple things. Are you finding there's certain clients that aren't the right ones that you've learned to just start saying no to? Okay, that's a key exercise during this time. The tighter you get around it, the faster you'll move through the next stage. Okay, so just think. Sometimes we live a little bit in fear. I have a couple people on payroll now, and I have to meet payroll. And before I used to be able to live fat, live lean, live fat, live lean, and now I need to at least pay this steady for them, right? Or do you guys have employees? You don't have employees, you do. You've got 7. Okay, I'm going to push you to the next stage. But yeah, that's a place where you start looking at it, you say, I need steady work that makes money. And if we're too hungry to get that work in, we start to find that we'll define our ideal customer profile as anyone who will buy from. That is an unprofitable proposition. Okay? That will burn through your cash like nothing else. Anyone who will buy from. Instead, we have to find the people who our team loves to work with, that they love to work with us, and that they pay us a good profit margin. If we don't have all 3 of those, we don't have a sustainable business. So I love that you're already thinking about who I say no to, but that's a key thing at this stage moving in. So as we move to, all right, feels exciting, chaotic, maybe 2 really good lead sources, still very heavily involved in making things happen, right? We're really quite flexible in this thing. Here's our shifting gears. We do need to have predictable lead generation beginning now so that it can couple with our ability to sell. Because the volume that needs to come through to pay the beast, our team, our machine that's there, needs to be predictable and regular. And sometimes we wear through our old network. Document those processes is a key thing at this time. Pushing the button so it goes is too. Is it really never? Okay, whatever. Look at processes, document those, get your lead sources in. There are 93% of businesses that are less than $1 million in revenue in the U.S. That's a lot of the businesses, a huge portion and chunk. That leaves only 7% that are above that and go as high up above as you want. So very small numbers. We consider this to be an elite class group of people at this phase. Problem, though, is as you get to this, if you don't shift gears, when you hit that million plus, million to 2 million range, let's say you've got between 7 and 12 team members, it feels like this. That bike is one of these. Let's pretend. You can't shift. You've got a load on. You're going uphill, gravel underneath. It slips. It's painful. It's arduous. But learning to shift gears will make all the difference. The problem here isn't the size of revenue. Okay, the problem here is actually the size of your team and how good you are at managing an ever-increasing group of people. We, as human beings, really don't manage more than, say, 7 to 10 people. We can't lead 7 to 10 people beyond that very effectively. In fact, very few do 10 well. 7 is really closer to it. Okay, where we can see them, we can help them, they can grow, we can support them, they do well, they feel like they get the attention they need, all that sort of stuff. We start bogging down because we've got more and more people and we don't have a system or process to really lead them well. So here's some of the key things. Whoa, wow, now all my clicks came through. That was really exciting. Owners often the bottleneck at this phase. There's more headaches and complexity tend to work in the business and not on it, and the functional teams start taking shape. You start having a fulfillment group and a sales group. It starts to bleed out a little bit. That's a natural and good place to be. The problem of this bottleneck is this. That same individual, remember, who was working just 8 hours on Sundays. When I visited him in his office, I did this twice before I just was like, okay, this has to stop. It felt like, and I don't know if you guys ever read the Bible, but it felt like Moses. Sun up to sundown, there's this line of people that were at his office. We couldn't even sit for 25 minutes and talk. People just kept walking and and they needed so much help on everything. And he was a genius. I'm not taking that from him. He was fantastic at sales. He was a genius marketer, really scrappy, and his stuff worked. He was the best coder. He was fantastic at managing the infrastructure IT side, like the servers and all that sort of stuff. Like, he just knew it all. And he was his own accountant because all the accountants he ever used never got it right, right? And so he knew everything. And everybody came to him for answers. And he had a better answer, legitimately. He had a better answer than anyone on his team could come up with. He had good team members, but none of them felt confident to make a decision because he always had a better answer, which kind of said they always got it wrong. So think about that. Why are there more headaches and complexity? Yes, your business is getting bigger, but you're holding on to too much. So the shifting gears is also a mindset, but there's also some skills. Here's some of the key things on this that we see. And, I'm just spitting out too fast. Let me just not answer, don't worry about that. For those of you who are in that 7-figure journey now, you're about $1 million revenue, $1 million to $3 million. What are your number one problems and concerns you're feeling right now? I'm ready. Yeah. 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 And that, yeah, we can do it. Yeah, we can make it happen was important to do because you were finding. Right? We're testing it out. And if you don't know the bad and the good, you can't fix something. So, kudos for doing the right work. Now it's just next step. What else? So strategy is holding back. And the strategy has an impact on your business. How does your team know what's most important right now? They just come and ask you. and it kind of depends on what you ate for lunch, on what the answer is. Or do you have any kids? If you didn't sleep well that night because the kids kept you up, right? So that changes the answers and strategy shifts. That's a real thing in there. Anyone else have something on that? Yeah. The fine tuning. Where's the problem when your team members don't have it fine tuned on what's expected of them? Yeah. They don't even flow everything. Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever had this, but so I'll have like I do better now, but I didn't before. so so I would have a one-on-one with the team member and check in on what they're working on, what they're doing. And I'm like, what in the world were you doing focusing on that task? Like, I asked you to do that a long time ago because we needed that little thing done. Don't perfect something that doesn't matter. Like, the core things I hired you for, you're missing on, and you're spending time on something that's low value add. 100% my fault, right? Because of my clarity of role or lack of clarity in those roles. That happens at every stage. If you have an employee or even just a partnership, who's in charge of what and how do we measure what's most important? That becomes really key. So, yeah, those are huge. You're going to shift gears. The first one is to set the vision and really enroll the team. Setting the vision, and I'm going to define it. I bet I have something. Look at that. I define it this way. So, because these words, everybody uses them differently, I'm just going to get really granular. Vision means purpose, values, and mission. And purpose means a why. Give me a reason for working here. I want meaning in it, and the paycheck is not a good enough answer. Paycheck's just table stakes so we talk. I want a why. Otherwise, I do the minimum at work so I get my paycheck so I can go and have a fulfilling life elsewhere. And I'm not saying you're here to replace fulfilling life elsewhere. I want you to add to it. I want them to leave work knowing they did something that mattered, they had impact, they get to go home a winner and kiss their spouse instead of kick their dog. Okay, that's what I want. Okay, so we want purpose. This matters because it's in you as owners. You got drive. You're building up this business. This is your baby. You're so excited about it. You're finally doing it right. No one else did before. You've got meaning in every piece of it. So when you're in the shower, you're thinking about it. You're on a drive, you're thinking about it. You want it. You love it. You're passionate about it because you have purpose. Most of your team doesn't. They just don't. And that's your job as a leader. First, get the purpose out of your mind and heart and theirs. You can co-create this together and get clear. Here's the impact we're going to have. This is a reason you put the discretionary effort, that step above instead of the bare minimum, that purpose. The values are not what's nice to have or what I want up on my website so companies want to work with me. I mean, the kind of unique things about you that make you who you are, not what you aspire to be, but who you are, that other people who value those same things will resonate with. The values end up predicting what kinds of decisions you make later more than anything else. Because at that split-second moment, the customer calls and there's a problem. Do you want them logically solving that issue for and with them because that's your deep value? Or do you want them empathizing first with that customer because that's your deep value? It's a different brand that comes across your customer. This value, that comes through. Do you want them treating the other employee in the office in a transparent, no nonsense, give it to you hard feedback so they can take and run and work with it, and everyone on your team loves that? Or do you want them to, some other approach on how they work with that person, which is, no, we're a servant first. I want to find out how I help you, how I help you succeed. My whole thing is to do that. Both of those are good values. But this person would hate this environment, and this person would hate this environment. And they rub wrong. They rub wrong in the leadership first, and then throughout the team. So core values, we tease those out, and we get them really clear. This is the name for us. And maybe it's radical candor in one of my core values, or if for my business, we genuinely care. That's one of ours. We go above and beyond what's typically expected in a business relationship. Oh, that's part of our definition. Every one of my employees knows that. Why? Because I want everyone to experience that when they touch our team. And we don't hire anyone who doesn't already live that. Okay, so that's what core values are. Mission is exactly what we're going to achieve. Not a fancy thing up on the wall that we talk about, the change of the world purpose and values mixed in and aspirations. No. For my business, we're going to create 1,500 moments where people realize their potential by the end of 2026. Simple, measurable. We know exactly what that means for realized potential with our company. It's meaningful. We love to realize potential. That's our purpose. So the mission is that. Then there's mission goals. Has a certain amount of revenue, profits associated with that, right? I know some details going down through. I have my revenue coming from a certain portion of the business where I find it most valuable. Okay, so it rolls right on out. Cost of the CAC, client acquisition cost, is clear. I'll have all of that over in my mission goals, but that's a vision. And every one of the team members knows it, embraces it, loves it, so now they can start to think and act like a business owner instead of like an employee who's just doing what the boss says. Okay, that's the guiding principles. You've got to get this out and get it clear. Great. Mission strategies, we didn't get to touch on this. There's different levels of strategy. On a mission level strategy, we say, okay, so if that's what we have to do in 3 years' time, let's get really clear who we serve, what they most need to accomplish, how we help them accomplish that, how we know that we've helped them accomplish it, that's the metric side, how we organize to pull that off so everyone can see that it rolls out throughout every part of the business. And then the business knows if this is how we deliver that value, this part of the business is the strategic, like, linchpin. The other parts of the business, I'm okay if you're suboptimal in order to support the linchpin. That's strategically aligning your team. So that's what I mean when I say organizing around that on a mission strategy. We have to get laser beam focused so everybody knows this is who we sell to. This is who we serve. This is the way we go about serving it, and we want our processes built to do it. Great. Then organization design in big three, this gets to role clarity. So if it's a role clarity issue that we're dealing with, again, I don't know what this role, one step down in the organization, needs to achieve unless I know what one step up needs to achieve. A lot of times at the stage between, how many employees, sorry, I didn't get your name. Dan? Ed is not like Dan, and I apologize for that. Ed, how many employees do you have? Okay, you've got 15 employees in there. So you probably have 2 leaders and managing the team of 15. Does that seem right? 3 leaders, great. You're set up well on that. So if I don't know what this leader has to do for the delivery, the operation side, that we need to be able to manage this volume of work coming through at this quality and in this budget amount. Let's pretend those are the big three for that leader's role. Without knowing that clearly, we may hire someone just because I'm just overwhelmed and I need some help. And so you hire a helper. That is a terrible role then, right? But if instead I'm hiring someone who has a job to ensure that we're staying in budget, right? Maybe this is like a sales engineer that ensures the sales team only sells stuff that has the right margins in, and someone who's a project manager who helps to oversee that we hit the things on time, on budget. Right? I'm going to have different people owning parts of this person's. They're the ones contributing. It actually works like math. Their work should lead to this person hitting. Okay? It works like math. And anything that isn't accounted for by the team below them, they have to do personally. But we should be able to see that the metrics that we have set out and the goals that we have are clearly defined in everybody's role. So everyone knows my job's important to hit the mission. I am part of the strategy of this business, okay? I do this. So now my work isn't just meaningful. I now have a sense of clear contribution. And that's what your team's looking for is purpose or meaning. They're looking for belonging. That's your core values in that team that share those things with you. They're looking for a sense of contribution, that what they do every day matters, that they matter, that they're important. Those are the drivers to human motivation. The last one is growth. And that's work we have to do with our teams. We have a job to hire, lead, and fire everyone on that team to the vision. If they don't serve the vision, they're not part of the team. I hire only ones that help me fulfill the vision. And I coach them on the weekly or daily basis to help them grow and learn, because though they're filling their role well today, I need them to be radically different 6 months from now, because the roles keep changing when we're this side. So always building. Okay, too much preaching. Checking watches. Bored already? That was honest. Totally appreciate that. Remember, hire for culture's values fit first, then role fit. Okay? If you flip that around, which is so tempting right now, I need a great salesperson, so I hire someone who's a great salesperson, and they're a cultural misfit inside my organization. It's like I introduced poison. It's really bad. Or threw sand right into the motor where it just slows it all up. So culture fit first, role fit second. And then I'll talk just briefly about this planning execution meeting rhythm. If you want to talk about strategy-wise, we'll talk about for your organization. When you get to 10 plus people, if you don't set aside 20% of your collective resource time-wise in your business to work on your long-term future, you'll stall out. Because your business isn't what it needs to be for the new growth that you want. It's what it needs to be for where you are today. Every organization is perfectly designed to get to the result it's getting. So congratulations, you have a perfectly designed organization today for what you're getting. But if you want to grow, you have to do strategic work, spend the time. So we just recommend one of the meeting rhythms, if you're just like, oh, here's a takeaway. Every quarter, take a day away with your 3, with those leaders, right? We've got them. or it could be more. You may have a couple of the key members in there. Take a day away, think about it, and get clear around your strategy. We like to do some exercises to pull them out of the trenches, because a lot of times you'll take your day away and then you try to boil the ocean, right? We just talk about every problem, every issue out there. Don't let that happen. When you start your meeting, tell them, say, hey, here's space in the whiteboard, or maybe it's a digital space you're doing it. I want you to put everything that you hope you get out of this meeting. Just put it on there. Tell me all the important things. That if we don't fix these things, we're never getting to our mission. And they're like, oh yeah, they put all sorts of stuff up there. Good, I'm glad you got all of those out there. Okay, get the head clear. Until you do that, they're waiting for the moment in the meeting that we get to that issue. And they're actually not present for the rest of the meeting because they have a favorite issue or two. So just get them to put them all there. Now it's up there. Everybody can see them. Thank you so much. Then we go into a strategic exercise to pull them really out of the trench. So we cleared the head first. Now we're going in and we're saying, okay, let's celebrate accomplishments of what we did this last year or last quarter. Celebrate them big. Let's talk about the lessons learned. That could be from good things or bad, but really lessons we gained. What did we collectively learn together? Let's document those. What we just did was we honored the past and learned from it. We gave them a chance to let go of and not rest on our laurels and just say, okay, now we dive into and we start doing a good SWOT analysis. What are truly our strengths? I want them out there. What are really our weaknesses? Let's be clear about them. Every weakness does not need to be fixed. Every strength does not need to be leveraged. Just put them out there, though. We'll identify which ones matter to us. Then get into and have them learn as a team how to think about opportunities and threats that are happening outside of your business. You may not recognize this, but most of your team doesn't think outside of the business at all while they're working. They just work in it. Invite them to think outside of. I'll invite every team member to do that. They can do that exercise beforehand and give us their information. And we can use it in the leadership meeting. Everyone thinks about, and if they can't think more clearly about it, I may use Porter's 5 forces to help them think strategically. So they're going to think about competitors. They're going to think about substitutes. They're going to think about new entrants. They're going to think about the relative strength of buyers in their market and the relative strength of vendors or suppliers in their market. Those can affect your profit margins and your joy in business. Okay, so you better be aware of what's happening there. I may use another tool that I made up. I call it the speed of change. TSPEED. What technological shifts? What social, political, environmental, economic, and demographic shifts are happening around our business and around our customers' businesses, if you're a B2B, or our customers' lives, if you're a B2C. What's happening around them that's shifting the market that we may need to change the way we deliver our product, who we're focusing on, right? There may be some shifts we need to make. But just the exercise of your team thinking a little broader gets them thinking like a business owner. Don't we wish more of our team thought like business owners, made decisions like that with us? Just the exercise will help them. And then, now that we've got all this data, and I do them all along a big wall together, so you see it all at once, then we ask the question, so what are the strategic issues? Let's get the question down that we need to solve in order to hit our mission, or in order to hit our goals this quarter, this year. Okay, so what are the questions? You say, how do we X given Y obstacles or barriers or weaknesses? And they're able to pull, like, yeah, how are we going to leverage that opportunity or take advantage of this opportunity or leverage that strength we have given the owner's time is totally tapped right now, and she would need to be in the middle of that, or he would need to be in the middle of that. We're going to have to free up their time. That might be a key. How are we going to do that given we're short on cash at this time? We won't have cash until later. How are we going to, whatever the issue is, everyone gets to create a few of those questions. And then the team can jointly vote on what were the most important. And you don't have to be a democracy. You could say this is an informed monarchy like it is in my home. But you could do everyone vote, and we like to. We get their stickies up there, and you see that collective. Remember, you just jointly thought through things. You'll be surprised how quickly people start focusing in. And then that list of all the things they thought they needed to take care of before, that was included in these questions. They start saying, oh yeah, not as important. This is the strategic issue we need to solve to win. And your team starts to coalesce around it. That's the difference. Is your team size grows because your business is bigger. You have to learn to collectively think through, process, make a decision, and move forward so you have this united front. If you don't, you're divided. You're moving different directions. Your communication isn't clear. People don't know why. They only do so much. And every one of those little bits of friction, that's your profits down the drain directly. That's just where your profits go. You're wondering where they are? Because your team's not united. Okay, there's something off. So that's a key. As the team grows, the complexity grows. So you need to organize differently. I need to have a clock so that I don't, can you make sure at noon, you're like, David, it's noon, so that I give 5 minutes to close up? How about at 12:05, you let me know? Okay, good. So you got to become the leader your team needs. You don't want to deal with this sort of stuff. We want to make sure we shift. When you get to this next one and you're playing with 25, 35 people, you're in the 5 million, 3, 5, 6, whatever million area, depending on your particular product, leadership is your key. I'm just going to jump right to that and say, trust me, it just is. You have, well, there's all these other wonderful things. I know you guys are going to go through it. You're not at this stage right now, but just know leadership is the key. You have to learn how to be a leader builder, or you lose the culture of your business and sort of the secret sauce that's helped you succeed as you bring in outside experts. I want to give you some warnings on that. You have to beef up strategic models. That's all sorts of great things. Great. There's a little leadership model, lovely. If you don't change, you just have a heavier weight that you're pushing uphill on your bicycle because you just can't do it. It feels like this. I've seen it too many times. Don't get stuck there. Here's some pro tips. Transparency and enroll the help of your team. Co-create through this process. Don't do it alone anymore. Next, strong culture makes it much, much easier. This is a big one. Resist the temptation to hire big company talent to come in. I've probably seen this 40 or 50 times. They've done this exact move again, and it fails again. Hire someone. If you have to hire outside because you can't build inside fast enough for your growth, hire someone cultural fit, and then who has recently taken a company from your stage to 2 stages up from there. Not big company talent, just someone who has recently taken someone from your size business to 2 stages up. That's your leader, okay? If you're pulling someone, I don't mean CEO, it could be that, but anyone in those spaces. The fractional CXO or outsourced marketing can be really helpful at this stage. Can also work a little bit previous stage, okay? The 1 to 3 million. But look for a cultural fit still. Get someone who's aligned with you, has an experience taking someone from your stage to 2 stages beyond in their particular area. Great. Get them as fast as you can. Whew. Do something. Push the button. Move on. Okay, it's not moving on. There we go. It's all easy. The stuff I talked about, super easy to do until it isn't. You may feel like you're all ready. You're on your bike. You're doing great. Oh, it's not even playing for you. It's doing something else. I'll just describe it. So the guy goes off on this cool ramp. He comes down and he crashes this way first. His face slams into the ground. And it's like that. That's the world of small business ownership. We're entrepreneurs. It feels just like that. And you're going to learn through it, and you'll do it over and over again until you get there. You can figure the things out that I just told you, just implement. If you want to do them faster and easier, then contact me. If you want a feel of what's really the essence of what I need to do to grow, if you're at the 1 million to 10 million, the smaller, don't come to me. I'm the wrong person. I'll help you with ideas, but my team's not set up to help you. So 1 to 10 million, that's me. Here's an assessment you could go ahead and take. Snap a shot with your picture. It's a free assessment. It's 9 questions or something. It's going to go down some key areas that you need to look at. It'll give you a little bit of here's some next steps of what you can do. So please feel free to use that, take those next steps. And I think that probably takes care of it. Everybody get that before I leave your little picture? All right. You can also just, again, contact me. That's easy too. Feel free to talk to me. I can't convince you to buy my stuff. It's all in your hands. But if I can give you a next step that will save you a few crashes, a few cuts, a few road rashes, I would love to do that and help you succeed in what you're doing. And best blah, blah, blah. There you go. Jesse, it's all you. And I'll be around after for questions if anyone has.
So David actually did some coaching with me and my company. We helped us build a vision. So that vision exercise is a really powerful exercise in getting everybody aligned. Okay, how we doing? Can you stand up for a minute? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Because buckle up, guys. I have got a lot of slides for you. So if you're a slide guy like me, and you want to have some strategies, some execution ideas, we're gonna go through marketing, which is often one of the biggest challenges of the small business South. Yeah, go throw away your food, use the bathroom. Let's come back in maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, if you're that fast. I didn't know I was going to be. minutes? Maybe give it one more minute and then we'll jump back in. You guys like slides? Are you slide people at all? They help you visualize? Sure. It's funny, more and more I tend to think in slides. Slides and spreadsheets. Just slide into it, yeah. It helps me visualize and kind of synthesize the concepts. Okay, we're going to jump back in. A little bit about me. So my name is Jesse Warner. I think I've met many of you. I've been a fractional chief marketing officer for the last 5.5 years. I started a company called the Chief CMO. Prior to that, I was an marketing executive at 5 different companies. Really been doing this 17, 18 years now. I have an MBA, did a Bachelor of Science in Marketing at BYU. Worked with 55, 60 plus companies to improve their marketing strategies in some level. Some very deep, hands-on, some more strategic. Kind of grew up in the demand generation and marketing operations space. You're kind of familiar with marketing. So I'm from Lehigh, so Silicon Slopes, a lot of tech companies. Very familiar with SEO, email marketing, Google Ads, social media. I've helped build affiliate and partner programs. We've launched call centers in the Philippines. Very analytical, so done a lot of CRM and sales operations implementations, so Salesforce, Zoho, HubSpot, those kinds of things. Help also proficient front-end website developer and skilled project manager. So a little bit about me. Some of the companies I've worked with. Started my career with a company called Tel Electronics, marketing director there. Worked with Workfront as a VP of customer acquisition for Lendio, just across the freeway over here. Some work with some startups called Basque, Spingo. Helped found a company called Actify, which is an AI chat platform. Built the first prototype for them, and then for the last 5.5 years, done a lot. And so these are some of the fractional CMO work I've done. Maybe you recognize some of these, maybe you don't. But a lot of experience with a lot of companies. So what I'm trying to provide here today is kind of a synthesis of all of that learning and to try to just give you guys some ideas. As we talk, you're going to have ideas that maybe aren't even related to what we're talking about, right? But it's going to be maybe an aha moment, a key insight for your business. Just make sure you write those down, take a note. And my goal is to help you with that, okay? So we're going to cover 14 points. I'm going to give you a blueprint for high growth companies, okay? We're talking about vision, identity, story that resonates, website, product market fit, customer journey map, marketing technology, success metrics, campaign tracking and reporting, diversifying your lead channels, optimizing your funnel, empowering your sales team, marketing sprint framework, and strong marketing leadership. How's that sound? All that? You're like, okay, that's a lot. It is a lot. One of the things that David talked about was really making sure that you're ready for growth. So really, most of my presentation today is geared around those companies that are trying to get up into that, past the 1 million mark, right? And there's some foundational items that you need in place really to go do that well. And so the question here is, did you create a foundation for growth, right? Do you have a clear company vision? Do you have a good brand identity? Do you have a story that resonates? Do you have a website that has clear messaging? Have you got to that product market fit? If you haven't gotten to product market fit, you're not really ready for the growth, right? And so what you're going to, because the things that you're still pivoting. I remember when I was at Actify, I think we pivoted 30 times before we finally got to the thing that was like, okay, this is the thing that's going to go make us money. And so this is really critical. So David talked a little bit about brand vision, so purpose, core values, and mission. When we talk about brand strategy, it's a little bit broader than that, right? So it's your brand vision, but it's also your brand identity, your name, your logo design, your personality. And it's that brand experience. How do you position yourself in the market? What's the story you're going to tell? What's the journey you're going to bring people down? And is that consistent, right? When you're smaller, it's actually easier to create a lot of this stuff, right? And it's going to evolve, but you can get your founder story really clear, right? You can know exactly where you're positioning yourself in the market. You can create a journey, right? So brand style guide is a good way to start if you're trying to go through the branding exercise. If you've never done this and you're kind of like, I don't know, I just threw up a website, it might be time to just revisit this a little bit, because if you're trying to grow, you really do need that consistent brand and style of your company. So this is everything from your logo, your iconography, the fonts that you choose. If you look at, Apple, it extends into all of their product lines, right? And so what you're trying to do is create that consistency in the brand. Anybody heard of the book Story Brand? Kyle was just talking about reading 1 million books. So Story Brand talks about this idea of high level, your brand is not the hero of the story. That's basically just there. The customer is. Your job is to be a guide to that customer, a mentor to that customer. And so you have a character who has a problem, they meet a guide, gives them a plan, calls them to action, results in failure or success. And you see this play out in, let's take Star Wars, for example. Right? Luke has a problem, the Empire's after him, meets a guide, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda. They give him a plan, trust the Force, calls them to action, and results in the Death Star being destroyed, right? In business, it's a little different, right? But the story brand framework is a really helpful way to think about, do you have a clear story that resonates with your buyers? So in this case, think of a character as a potential customer who has a problem. There's some sort of pain or opportunity. They meet your guide, your brand, you, and then you give them a product or a solution that helps them, right? Sometimes when we go to market, we just talk about us. Here's how I can help you. Here's what we do. Here's about my company. When we take it from the context of the story brand, we're looking at the character and we make them the hero of the story, right? And if you have a good story, then you can sell the story. If the story doesn't actually help make the character a hero, guess what? You probably don't have product market fit, right? And also it's going to be hard to sell because you don't have a resonator. Knowing the audience, I almost wish I would have pivoted a little and did a presentation on product market fit, because this is an ongoing challenge, building products that resonate. You can build a product that resonates. You don't have to force or cajole or persuade people to buy it. They're going to buy it because it solves a problem. It alleviates a pain. It presents an opportunity for them, right? So story brand and the framework here is really helpful. Anybody heard the word buyer persona before? Okay. So I was a general manager for a company called Spingo. We built an event calendar platform. And we would install these platforms, these calendars inside of, think of publisher sites like maybe like a KSL.com, right? What we found is that there were actually 6 types of people that were submitting events into our calendars. And we had a volunteer Vicky and a nonprofit Nancy, the venue Vince, professional Paul, corporate Christy, agency Andy. And we, in the early days, we just call everybody. Hey, do you want to promote, do you want to market your event with us? Guess what would happen? Anybody know? Who would buy? Guess what? Volunteer Vicky had no money. She had a lot of passion though, but she never had enough money to buy anything. Nonprofit Nancy, same thing. A lot of passion, no money. Professional Paul though, guess what? He had money. So we actually designed the product and the system to kind of split. And we'd say, okay, and we'd actually ask the question in the form, which of these best describe you? Oh, I work for a volunteer, or I'm a volunteer in an organization. I work for a nonprofit organization. And we were able to say, oh, you're a volunteer, Vicky. I'm going to push you down a self-serve path. And I wouldn't engage the sales team with those people, right? We got a professional Paul. Guess what? I'm going to call them. I'm going to email them. I'm going to try to get hold of them. Because they were our ideal client profile, right? And that's different than a buyer persona. Your product could be sold to a lot of different buyers. That doesn't mean that they're your ideal client profile. You could still sell to them in some way, but your service might have to be a little different. The packaging, the position, the pricing might be different. And what we found is we built, this is called the buyer persona card, and we would create this card to help train new salespeople, right? So we'd say, hey, sales, when you're talking to a professional, Paul, here are the kinds of behaviors they have, and this is how you sell against that. These are the things they care about. This is where they're hanging out online. Product, you should be building solutions that meet the needs of professional Paul. And so these cards were really helpful in the training. I feel like I'm getting an echo a little bit. Go down a little bit lower. Another thing that's really helpful is to create what is called a messaging framework. So let's take professional Paul, and you can say, okay, what are the problems that professional Paul has? In this example, this is actually an example from when I used to work with Workfront. We said, hey, marketing has this problem with poor alignment and visibility and poor collaboration. What's causing that problem? What's the underlying cause? And what are the details around the cause of that problem, right? Guess what, guys? ChatGPT and AI, it can build this for you in like a second. This used to require a ton of research from our product marketing team. You can get there in about 70, 80%. Now, it's not going to show you everything. It's not going to tell you everything. But if you said, hey, I've got a buyer persona that looks like professional Paul, tell me about the problems that they have and put it into a messaging framework, guess what? It'll do that for you. And it's a really quick way to just understand what are the key problems and challenges that my buyer has. Your website should then lay this out. So if you're following the same story brand framework, right? What you're trying to say is you're going to achieve success by following our plan. Here's a call to action. This is what success looks like. There's a principle that says, don't make me think. How many times have you driven past a billboard and you're like, I have no idea what they do? Versus something that's like, oh, I got it, right? Your website, especially your front page, is like a billboard. If they don't get it really quick, they're just going to bounce, right? And so here, and these are two great examples of a story brand framework. So it says, grow your grocery business with e-commerce, scheduled demo. So basically saying, hey, success looks like growing your grocery business. Here's our plan, e-commerce solution, and this is what it could look like. Here's success. This one on the right is even a better example. Get through your divorce with a team that knows and cares. Who's their target audience? Women, yeah. And they're saying, hey, women, you could be happy at the other side of divorce, right? So they're showing you what success looks like. And the story brand framework can help you kind of think through some of that. Have a product that resonates. This is what I was talking about earlier, right? You create something that is the perfect solution to a specific problem. People want to buy your product because they recognize its value immediately. They won't need to be coerced or cajoled. Your offering establishes a real and direct connection to whatever your market values. And when people hear about your product or service, they immediately understand its value to them, even if they've never heard of your company before. iPod first came out, 1,000 songs in your pocket. Boom, got it, right? Clear value proposition. The iPhone, does anybody remember the first time they saw an iPhone? I was at BYU, top Tanner building, looking down the stairs, somebody showed it to me and I was like, blown away, right? And it resonated at so many levels because of what it could do. Prime, guys? Does anybody remember what life was like before Prime? Literally, I click a button and tomorrow I've got something on my doorstep. That resonates, right? Other things, Airbnb, Uber, some of these things, these challenges, really quickly, oh, that's the problem you're trying to solve. Here's how you solve it, okay? One of the things you got to be careful with when you position your brand and product is you don't want to be in the dumb zone. And sometimes we, especially, and I've worked with a lot of startups, sometimes we're in the dumb zone. So we build this awesome feature, and your competitors build it too, but guess what? Your consumers don't even want it. They don't care about it, right? So you spend a lot of time and energy building something maybe because your competitors are doing it, and you think, oh, they must surely know something. And so you play in what's called the dumb zone, right? Where you want to be is in the winning zone, where your brand does something really well, the consumers want it, and your competitors don't do it. And so that's the position that we want to be in and play. When you've got the combination of a good position in the market, a product that resonates, and a story that tells it, guess what? You're ready to grow. You're ready to go market this thing and take it by storm, right? So, still in some of his slides here, right? Solopreneur, new employer, steady operations. A lot of the stuff in the steady operations is where you're working on some of that product market fit and growth stuff. If you can get past that, which is what I'm going to show you, you can open up the growth opportunities, okay? So the next steps here, if we want to look at marketing and sales growth strategies, we're talking about how do we get from 1 million to 10 million, right? And that's kind of the promise of today's meeting. How do we grow from 1 million to 10 million, right? What I want to talk to you is about some of the things that you can do that can help you on the sales and marketing front to build that actual growth engine, okay? This is what's called a customer journey map. Does anybody have a customer journey map? Okay. So a customer journey map is your vision step by step for your customer to go down. It doesn't mean that you have created it all. But if you start from they've never heard about me all the way to I'm a raving fan, what does that journey look like? So these are 3 journey maps that I've created. We talked about spin go. This one here in the middle is spin go. And we have different directions and paths that we wanted the people to go down. But if you can create a customer journey map, it's going to serve as a foundation for a lot of the strategy that you're going to use to be intentional about the growth, okay? So in this example of the journey map, I'm mapping the journey from discovery all the way through retention. And guess what? This journey requires a lot of tools. I need a marketing automation tool. I need a CRM. I need a dialer. I need landing pages. I need content marketing. I need email marketing. I need sales analytics and web analytics. I need an e-commerce platform. I need a website. I need design tools and webinar software and community and social media and survey tools. But I want to go make this happen the way I designed it. Guess what? I've got to have a technology stack that can support it, okay? You don't get there in the early stages because you can't justify the cost and the expense to go through it. Now, luckily, AI is changing the game here, and there are a lot of great tools at low cost that can still get you to do a lot of this. The first exercise, though, is just draw it out. Take a piece of paper, take a whiteboard, just draw it out. There's a technical side of this too. There's a technical diagram. This is a diagram I built when I built the very first prototype for Actify, which was ended up being an AI text chat bot that would generate inbound phone calls. Guess what? We just hacked together a solution. We didn't know what the solution was going to be like, and we weren't going to go invest a bunch of development dollars into it yet. So we use Google Sheets and Zoho and Zapier and Twilio to hack together a tool that actually did the thing we wanted to do. And it was way less expensive in getting the validation. Turns out, a lot of the stuff we wanted to do, customer didn't care about. So we took that out, right? We didn't go spend development cycles on it because we had already tested it. Map out your technologies. So we talked about the journey map. Understand the tools that are available to you. What tools am I using for experience and insights and distribution and creation? A lot of companies, when they're getting bigger, technology stack becomes a big part of the things that they're doing, right? Does anybody feel like they have a good technology stack? No? Okay. We're all probably a little bit too small. As you grow, though, the systems and the processes, I think David in his slide, become really important because they're the foundation for your growth. My recommendation is to find platforms that have a lot of capabilities. So Zoho One is one of those. $100 a month, you get 55 applications. Pretty sweet, right? G Suite, another thing, has a lot of tools. Not very expensive. HubSpot CRM, if you want to do HubSpot, they've got a lot of platforms on it, a little more expensive. You want to go to the HubSpot side. Adobe Creative Cloud, guess what? I've got a whole bunch of tools now for the creative side. Microsoft 365, Zapier that integrates with everything, tools that are implementation as a service kind of tools that integrate. This is Zoho One. You can build a whole marketing foundations for $100 a month. One user, start there. Guess what? I can do social, I can do forums, I can test my website, I can build websites, I can do live chat, I can build a commerce. I have a marketing hub where I can send emails, I can do campaigns and surveys. I have a CRM, I have a booking tool like Calendly, I have gamification, contracts and signatures, business intelligence, Zapier, alternative. So for $100 a month, guess what? You could build a really pretty good foundation. Right? You don't have to have tons and tons of stuff. There's other tools out there. I'm just highlighting one. So again, the Zoho One ecosystem. I use it for my business. Guess what? I can do my bookkeeping, right? I can do my CRM, signatures, all sorts of stuff inside of it. Marketing automation often gets introduced as you start to scale. So marketing automation, there's tools like HubSpot, Eloqua, SharpSpring, Pardot, Marketo. These are what larger companies are using. I've done a lot of work in HubSpot and Marketo, SharpSpring. But what it does allows you to do is you can build landing pages. You can build automation and sequences to nurture your leads, right? Somebody comes in, hey, you're a new lead. Okay, you're going to get this email, and then this email, and then this email. You're going to get this text. So you can use those systems and processes and automation to help you scale. So maybe you don't have to go hire somebody. You can bring in some automation. Guess what? AI is making this a lot easier too. Okay, then we have who has a CRM? Okay, good job. CRM, in my mind, is a critical piece. It's often the very first piece of software that I will install with a company because we need a place where our customers live. I need to know, where did they come from? If I want to do any kind of ROI tracking, if I want to know what's happening in the sales process, I need a CRM. Salesforce is probably one of the biggest ones. Most companies can't afford them. They charge $120 a month for a user, and they want you to sign a 3-year contract, right? But if you're a big, complex company, Salesforce is great because it gives you a lot of customization. You might want to go with a smaller one like a Zoho CRM, which is also very powerful. Just because it's cheap, it doesn't mean it's not powerful. HubSpot has a free one. Now they're going to get you in your database, but there are tools out there that you can use for CRMs. How many of you guys feel like you have a good understanding of your marketing funnel? Nah? Okay. Understanding your marketing sales funnel is critical if you're trying to grow. If you don't know what campaigns are working, guess what? You're going to throw away a lot of money, right? And so if we're just like, oh, I don't know, let's go try this thing, try this thing, try this thing, this thing. Well, did it work? I don't know. I think I got a lead out of it. Did you close any sales from it? I don't know, because I didn't track it, right? If you become very fanatical about your numbers and your tracking, you're going to see this funnel. Now, I'm looking at this funnel from a lead perspective. If you're an e-commerce business, you're going to have maybe a different funnel. Do you have a question there in the back? Okay. But what we want to know is okay, how is our website converting? How many people are visiting it? How many are actually filling out a form? Of those ones that filled out a form, how many meet our criteria for a lead? Of those, how many did we set appointments with? How many became a qualified opportunity? How many did we close? If I know those numbers, guess what? I can improve them. And this is true in every single channel. If I launch a Google Ads campaign, if I do SEO initiatives, if I do a social paid campaign, or I do an event, guess what? I should be able to see that whole funnel, and I should know how much it costs me, how much it costs for $1 of pipeline, and how much it costs for me to get $1 of revenue. David talked about CAC, cost to acquire a customer. Most companies, they're like, well, here's my overall CAC. Okay, but how much did Google Ads contribute to that? How much did your event strategy contribute to that? And they're like, I don't know, right? You can't have an I don't know answer if you're trying to grow, right? You need to know those numbers. And you've got to define success metrics along the way and create a process for measuring those success metrics, right? These are the processes and the systems in place that you need to be able to grow. Dave, you have a question, comment? I've seen a lot of startups, especially ones that are VC backed, suddenly get a bunch of money. Like, oh, we got to go market. And they'll just waste the money. 3 months later, it's all gone. And where'd it go, right? What worked? What didn't? I don't know. Because they didn't have the foundation in place to track and measure this. And good marketers, guess what? They're going to be very analytical about this. They're going to know the numbers, and they're going to know it by every single channel. They'll probably know it even by week. Here's how we did last week. Here's how I did this week, right? If you've got a broader team and you've got somebody that owns a specific channel, they should be held accountable for the numbers inside of that channel, and they should know that channel, which should then roll up until you get a bigger number, right? There's other ways to measure success in marketing. I often, revenue, cost to acquire a customer, qualified leads, the lead to close ratio. If you're getting into branding and PR, you can create what's called a scorecard or a PR scorecard. And SEO, we can look at how many leads and impressions and clicks are going through. Your operational metrics, average deal size. There's a whole bunch of ways you can measure marketing. And the important thing is that you measure them, and the person that's held accountable should have control over that. Right? If I've got somebody on my team that has no impact on revenue and I say, hey, revenue is your goal, well, they can't do anything about it. If their job is to go and create content, and I say, hey, your job, I'm going to throw this revenue goal at you. And they're like, well, I'm creating content. But what we could do is say, hey, I want this piece of content to influence this much revenue, right? Oh, okay, well, maybe I can control that, right? And so as you build out metrics of success, make sure you're doing it in an intelligent way. CRMs provide a lot of visibility into this channel. So this is a company, this is old data, so okay, using it now. But, we're Google Ads is doing 7,200 leads. Gantt head, Google. But what we looked at is what was actually creating opportunities. What were people holding? But we knew this all in the CRM. In fact, I had a campaign funnel. I knew in Q2 2011, guess what? That was my funnel. I knew it. Impressions, clicks, leads, opportunities, close one. That was my funnel. And we could pull that funnel in all sorts of different ways. Right? I could say, here's my highest cost per lead, my highest cost per opportunity. Here's the things that are actually working. And we knew that because we had built it in a way that the data flowed in and gave us the information we wanted. This is super critical when you're trying to grow. You don't know what works, well, you don't know what works, right? You can't invest in that. In marketing, my philosophy is always focus on the lowest part of the funnel that marketing can influence. Sometimes if you've got a marketing and a sales team, what happens is they sit in silos. You got the marketing team over here, you got the sales team over here. They're not really talking and they're not communicating. Marketing says, we're giving you guys lots of leads. Woo! Right? A lot of people are visiting the website. I call these vanity metrics. Who cares? Right? We shouldn't care, other than maybe if we're trying to get some new validation early in the process. Right? Because when you launch a new channel, you do care. Hey, can I generate leads out of this channel? Are they any good? That's the next question, right? By focusing here, what was interesting, we had a quarter where we said, you know what, we're going to go focus on cost per appointment. And what we actually saw is that the numbers above it, they all went up a little bit. So it was costing us more for a lead, it was costing us more for a visit, but guess what? We lowered the cost per appointment by $10, right? That's actually meaningful, because this is where the handoff between sales and marketing happens. We get influence lower down the funnel, right? You've got to understand the flow of data. You have these ad platforms, you've got your website, you might have marketing automation tools. How does the data get into the CRM? How do you report on it? Leads are entering the CRM in a variety of paths. They're coming from your website through direct search or direct traffic, organic search, referring sites. They're coming from landing pages. They're coming from integrations and lead forms. They're coming from imports. Does anybody have this problem right now, or is this like, I don't know, Jesse, what you're talking about? This is a very real problem as you get bigger. You generate even 100 leads a month. They're coming in different ways. If they're not getting tracked and flagged. Like I was just having this conversation with another fractional CMO, and I was helping him with a Salesforce project. And the whole thing was, his whole philosophy is, look, I'm trying to teach this company that if we can just find out what's actually producing revenue, then we're going to win. But I've got to get this whole system in place because I don't know what's working. None of the tracking is in place. And so this becomes a critical place as you try to scale and grow. I like to use what's called UTM values, or universal tracking metrics. If you're in Google Analytics, these are all the standard kind of metrics: medium, source, campaign, tactic, term, content. And so all this information can come into your CRM, and you get some really powerful information. And so you can create what's a UTM campaign tracking structure. And basically, every ad that you ever run or any marketing initiative that you run, you tag it. Then I know, hey, this is what's working and here's what's not. As you get more advanced, you often want to get into what's called multi-touch attribution. And you want to say, hey, it was this one and this one and this one. They all influence this deal. Salesforce does this well. Some of the other platforms don't do it. Get a little technical, but truthfully, these things matter a lot as you're trying to scale. On the, I'm taking too long here. Helpful so far? Okay. There's a lot here. When it comes to demand generation, which is often the hardest problem that we have, how do I get any lead, right? The trick is to go and understand your ideal client profile. And the question you've got to ask is, where does that buyer persona hang out? Offline and online. What restaurants do they go to? If you're thinking, think of the web as a city, or even just the city as a city. Do they go to a specific store? Do they buy certain things? What do they do? Where do they go? Online, are they on social media channels? Are they opening emails? Are they part of associations? Are they watching YouTube? What are they doing? Because whatever they're doing, guess what? That's where you want to be. And in demand gen, we often separate it into two categories: inbound marketing and outbound marketing. Early on, to David's point, you got to be a salesperson. Guess what you're doing a lot of? Everything's outbound. Right? So I'm interrupting, I'm trying to get in front of your face, doing whatever I can to just get in front of you. And it's very sales driven. As you start to grow and you get more sophisticated, the inbound channel can totally eclipse everything you've ever done on the outbound side. Suddenly you're getting leads. It's so funny, I have a client in Arizona, construction company. In fact, they might be one of your clients too, Bunnies. I work with Bunnies. He's like, I don't think I can get leads from marketing. I'm like, what? Of course you can get leads from marketing. No, I've never seen it. My website never drives a lead. I said, okay, just wait. Next week, 2 leads came in from the website. This last week, we had 4 leads come in from the website. Never had it before, right? Guess what we're doing for him? We're creating inbound marketing machines that are generating revenue for his team. It's making it easier for his team to go grow, right? Even in industrial construction, right? Because people are looking out there. And if you're not there where they, it's simple. Be there when people are searching for you. If they're searching for your solution and you don't show up, guess what? They're not going to find you. And you can do that through paid advertising. So this is where Google Ads comes in. By the way, you got to be careful of that. You can lose a lot of money if you don't do that right. Local SEO, if you're a local shop, critical. If you're in the services industry, we have a handyman client. We get so many leads from this local SEO play, right? And it's all about reviews, and it's all about citations, and there's a whole strategy. And then your organic listing on the bottom, right? When people are searching for you, can they find you? You can do what's called keyword research. Google Ads has a free tool. There are other platforms you can pay for. But I can find out what keywords people are searching for. And if I say, oh, that aligns with my business, that aligns with the things I care about, guess what? I can advertise on that, but I can also write SEO articles on those. Guys, AI, ChatGPT changes the game here. I literally could write an article. In fact, we're doing this with bunnies, and we're generating tons and tons. We tripled, quadrupled the amount of people visiting their website. I can have SEO, or I can have ChatGPT write me an article in 1 minute on a keyword that's relevant to my audience. Over time, that page starts to rank. If I'm doing this for 100 keywords, what's going to happen? People are going to find us. Doesn't require a lot of work. We can do that. Paid search ads, Google ads, Bing ads, right? This is an example from a software tech company we used to work with. It's costing $140 for a conversion. But guess what? Their average deal size was like $1 million. $140? I'll pay that all day long, right? So there's a lot of strategies you can use. Part of that strategy is creating great landing pages. Again, I'm giving you a lot of information. My hope is that your brain, just kind of thinking about this, like, okay, there's something here that's applying to me, and then you're going to write it down because you're going to get all these slides afterwards. Create a great landing page. Really important when you're doing paid advertising. You want to direct them to a page that's relevant to the thing they're searching for. Search engine optimization. The whole goal of SEO is to rank on page 1 of Google. That's it. There's a bunch of strategies that can use this. If the industry is very full and competitive, it's going to be harder. There's not a lot of competitors. There's not a lot of people creating content in your keywords. It'll be easier. There's strategies around SEO. Product review sites. This is really important in both services industries as well as software and tech. Why? Because these kinds of pages, G2, Capterra, Clutch, Best Company, they're ranking on page 1 of Google. So when somebody's doing research for something and you're not there, then it's going to be harder, right? And again, you want to be there when they're there, when they're searching for you. Retargeting ads are very helpful. You spend a lot of time and energy to get somebody to your website. Run a retargeting ad. When they leave the website, they're going to see your ads all over the place. You can run retargeting ads in Google, in Facebook, in LinkedIn. These are great. This is a low-cost effort to recapture the people that you've already worked hard to get to visit your website. Paid social ads. We have a software tech company we worked with for a long time called Client Success. So we're getting $10 leads out of LinkedIn. Hyper-targeted, using content that people care about. Webinars, ebooks, boot camps, toolkits. They do real well on Facebook, on the consumer side for handyman, for solar. That's what you can get $5, $10 leads out of Facebook. People you care about, you can do really good targeting. The trick is to find something that they care about. Social media and thought leadership becomes really important, especially on your sales team. Display advertising. Google has a display network. Facebook has an audience network. There's a whole bunch of other places. When you start to grow and you're exploring new channels, that's when this stuff comes into play, right? Because you're just trying to be wherever your customer is. Online video ads, both inside of YouTube, inside of Facebook, inside of Instagram, they're really effective depending on what you're trying to do, right? Again, if you have the tracking in place, you're going to know, hey, that ad worked, that ad didn't work. TV ads. This is a funny one for me. So Pattern, you guys know Pattern, just across the street over here, pretty big company. We were doing kind of a fractional demand gen role for them. We weren't their CMO, but we helped them. One of the things is they do this big event. Jenny was just at it. And they had Mountain. Guess what? Anybody that visited their event page, suddenly I'm on Peacock or Hulu, and what do I see? I see their event ad come up. Because it was retargeting me in TV, right? So we've gotten really smart with the things that we can do. And as you grow and have you more budget, these are all open up to you. Content syndication and pay-per-lead programs. If you develop an ebook or a white paper, an on-demand webinar, these guys can say, hey, guess what? I'm going to give you a lead for $40. And you just do a flat rate. There's a lot of companies that'll do that for you. And you just get the lead. Anybody downloads that ebook or white paper from their audience, you pay them. Pay-per-lead programs. There's a ton of them. We had a lot of success with this one at Workfront. Pay-per-appointment programs. You want to take it one step further. There's a company called Virtual Intelligence Briefings, Science, Callbox. These guys will actually pay per appointment. So instead of saying, hey, I'm going to pay you $40 for a lead, they're going to say, hey, I'm going to charge you $1,000 for an appointment. For companies that are hyper-targeted and have high revenue dollars on the sales ticket, this kind of stuff makes a lot of sense. We had a client that it was a Fortune 500 company, VIB. Guess what? They were just killing it. It was costing them $1,500 for an appointment. But the ROI on that was just out of the park. It was awesome, right? Because guess what? Google Ads was costing them $3,000 an appointment, right? So again, if you know your numbers, you see what's actually driving revenue. Partners and affiliates. Guys, see this curve over here on the right? This is a real client of mine, Mazuma USA. I started working with them. We were doing $6,000 a month. It's a bookkeeping and tax company. We went from $6,000 to $280,000 a month in new subscription revenue, right? How? Partners and affiliates. We found some really key partners that were driving thousands and thousands of leads. We launched a call center in the Philippines. We were calling like crazy. We went from 1 guy to 35 guys, right? But before we did that, guess what we had to do? We had to build a foundation. We got them on Zoho. We had to get the dialer. We had to do, the training and the scripts and all that stuff. It wasn't overnight, but you can see that growth. Events and trade shows can be really effective. Get people to come to you, listen to you, builds thought leadership. There's a whole bunch of ways to generate leads. Sometimes we think, oh, I don't know how to do it. There's no ideas. It's not that there aren't ideas. It's that you don't know how to go and implement them necessarily. But there's a lot that you can do. And again, you'll have these slides. The goal here as you grow is to create a diversified lead gen portfolio. I was the VP of Customer Acquisition for Lendio. We started with one channel, paid search. When I was hired there, we were getting 500 leads a month from paid search. 2 years later, when I left, we were getting 10,000 leads a month. I shut off paid search. We had over 100 channels that were generating leads, right? As you grow and you have more budget to play with, more opportunities open up as well. Okay. You guys overwhelmed yet with a lot? Okay, it was a little bit of my intention, overwhelm you. Not all leads are created equal. You can measure them in the funnel. Early stage leads, late stage leads, they're all different parts in the funnel. Your goal is to get those leads to convert. And you do that through optimization. We talked about this. Know your numbers And then I can improve it. I can improve engagement rate. I can improve conversion rate. I can improve qualification rate. I can improve all of those things. Lendio, we launched this channel with Google Display Network. High cost lead, low volume. Guess what? A/B testing, switch the curve on that. 700 leads a month to 3,000 leads a month. Right? That's what you're trying to do with any channel. You're often going to start high, you optimize it down, and you'll have success. Keep a test log, run A/B tests. Measure the heck out of everything. You can measure SEO. You can measure your website, Google Analytics. You can measure Google Ads. In fact, with Google Ads, you can actually bring sales data back into the platform. And I can do what's called offline tracking. I can say, all right, it brought 129 leads. How many of them closed? And you can use the algorithm to actually change it. I can talk about all this. Call tracking, if you're getting a lot of phone calls, there's call tracking software that can track all of that for you. You can improve click-through rates on search, both on organic and paid. You can measure your social media ads. All these tools are available to you and your team as you go into these different channels. And as you increase those engagements, those rates, you're going to have more success. So again, I want you guys to have these slides. That's why I have them in here, because I want you to think about this stuff. I want you to go back and how does this apply to my business? Even on booths, you can measure foot traffic. You can measure how many people are scanning. There's a great company here in Kiln called Mobley that's trying to change measurement inside of events. There's ways to improve those, ways to improve your landing pages, right? And then there's also, you've got to empower your sales team. Just because they get a lead doesn't mean they know how to take care of the lead. Create battle cards for them. Give them buyer persona documents. Help them take somebody that's an inbound lead all the way to close. Be their partner. And you can develop resources to help them. Sales proposals, sales collateral, sales presentations. Because marketing can help facilitate higher close rates. Build a better product. Build a better service. Reposition it. Change your pricing. There's ways that you can help the sales team. Often we're talking about us, us, us. If you change the paradigm, the way you talk to your customer, them, so more people listen to you and more people buy from you. Our pitch decks and or our scripts that our sales teams use, guess what? They're not always effective. We can change that. And great content for nurturing. Webinars and ebooks and blog posts and state of the unions and boot camps and events. Your customers will eat this stuff up. Comes all back to your CRM. You know what's going to work and what's not. Talk about marketing automation. Last thing here is just strengthen your team culture. Hire great people. Align compensation plans. Recognize good work. Marketing can help with all of that too. Okay, I have way too many slides for this. I just wanted to just give it all to you guys. I'm like, here, just have it all. I'm going to skip some of this stuff. You can have it. Basic idea here is you can't do everything. Prioritize the obstacles, eliminate them one by one. I do this through what's called the sprint framework. Create a backlog of projects. Prioritize the ones that are going to make the biggest impact. Go and do those things. Right? There's a framework here if you want to look at it. Then you create the backlog, run the sprint, present the findings at the end. And finally, hire a strong marketing leader to make it all happen, right? And this is where often hiring a fractional CMO helps, because they have that 20 years of experience. They can jumpstart that, avoid the mistakes. And so that's where we come into play. Whew. You guys get all that? Anybody come with some ideas? Okay, that's really what I wanted. I wanted you guys to come through this, look at the stuff we're presenting, and go, okay, I can do better. Here's one thing that I can do. Come back, look at these slides. There's a lot of ways to grow your company. Okay. Thank you to Elite Entrepreneurs, Chief CMO for sponsoring lunch and for the event. If you want to copy the slide deck, now's your chance. We will send out an email to those who registered. This also gives you a chance, if you do want to opt in to talk to David or I about our services, you can say yes to that. If you want to say no, we won't be offended either. But there is an opportunity there. They're going to record this, so I'm not going to send out you won't actually get it until we get the recording. So as soon as we get the recording, I'll give you a landing page with it, and we'll include the slide deck. Okay, questions? Good time for questions? Okay, I wrapped that last part up quick. So, questions? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. You're talking about way back here, right? This one? Maybe yeah. So style guide, brand identity, things like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we approach it as, think of it, if you were going to hire a VP of marketing, what would you want them to do? You put those same expectations on us. So we essentially come in at that VP of marketing CMO role and say, hey, one of the problems we have is this brand strategy. Will help me solve this problem, right? So we would take that, we'd break it down, right? And we would go through it. So in a backlog of projects, we put it up at the top and say, hey, this is a really high priority item. Done looks like this. Done means that I have a new brand. Done means whatever, right? And we would tap it. Branding, there's a whole exercise you can go through in it. It depends on how many opinions are in the room too. If it's just like one person versus like, hey, I've got 10 people that really care about what this logo looks like. You can go fast, you can go slow. AI has accelerated this. I can throw into Midjourney or into Dolly, and I can get 10 really good ideas real quick on a logo that used to take me a long time. So you can do it a lot faster now than you used to be able to. I don't know if I answered your question. No, not necessarily. I like the story brand idea in the sense that we're trying to create a journey for somebody, right? And it's not about you, it's about them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Actually, all the emails you guys received today are from Zoho. Other questions? Ian, how you doing? Good? Okay. Okay, well, with that, I know we're a few minutes over. Thank you for taking a couple hours and joining us today. Yeah, I did do connect share. Yeah. Very well.